Thanks for tuning in. Ham Talk Live will be on the air shortly. Please stand by. Thanks for tuning in. Ham Talk Live will be on the air shortly. Please stand by. This episode of Ham Talk Live is brought to you by Tower Electronics. For connectors, cables, and more, call 920-435-2973 or visit pl-259.com.
It's Ham Radio with Neil Rapp. Here we go. Welcome to Ham Talk Live. Call in, let's talk. Neil's your guy. Ham Talk Live. Here we go on Ham Talk Radio.
Hey, good evening to one and all. It's Ham Talk Live, episode number 90 tonight. Remote hams. Recorded live on Thursday, November 16th, 2017. I am your host, Neil Rapp, WB9VPG. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Ham Talk Live. Tonight we're joined by Scott Avery, WA6LIE, the founder of RemoteHams.com, and we'll take your calls live in a few minutes. Last week here on the show, Valerie Hotzfeld, NV9L, was here to talk about the Puerto Rico Disaster Communications Deployment. And if you missed that, be sure to check that out at hamtalklive.com or on your favorite podcast app. We're on several, including Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, iHeart Podcasts, Google Play, TuneIn, and SoundCloud. We're also over on YouTube, and we're on a bunch of others, so pick out your favorite one, and chances are good we're there. So if you have some questions about operating on remote hams tonight, you'll be able to give us a call. We're going to talk to Scott for a little bit first, but let me give you the phone number so you have it ready to go. We're not ready for your questions just yet. We'll do a little intro first so everybody's familiar with what's going on. But that phone number that you'll need to call in is 812-NET-HAM1. And for the alphabetically challenged, that's 812-638-4261. You can also find us on Skype at Ham Talk Live and Twitter at Ham Talk Live. And you can send us a question. In fact, you can go ahead and tweet us now, and we can pick that up here in a little bit. Again, that's at Ham Talk Live on Twitter. I do have one other announcement before we get going here. Bryant Rascal, KG5HVO, is a 13-year-old ham that's been on the program before. He was on a few months ago about working CW with his mic button, and he's come a long way since then. He received a autographed Bengali at Contest University, which we talked about a little bit on the show. Well, he just passed his extra class on Saturday, so congratulations to Bryant on that. And he's been selected to go to WRTC. So next summer, he'll be participating in the World Radio Team Championship 2018 in Wittenberg, Germany. And he'll be representing one of the youth teams. He will be the youngest ham in the competition, and the only youth ham from North America, but takes some money to travel all that way. So he's raising some money by selling humorous ham holiday postcards. You can use those for QSL cards or just some holiday greetings. So we've posted that information on our Facebook page and our Twitter feed and Instagram. And I'll actually be interviewing him tomorrow in preparation for next week's Amateur Radio Newsline. So you can hear a little bit more about it over at Newsline. But if you're interested in helping him out, check out the flyer on our social media sites, and we'll be talking more about WRTC 2018 in future episodes. So again, congratulations to Bryant, and we'll try to help him out by spreading the word on this fundraising. Ham Talk Live, we're on the air every Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time at hamtalklive.com. And again, check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We do post some stuff there throughout the week, so make sure you see that. Well, our guest tonight is Scott Avery, WA6LIE. He's from Salinas, California, and has been a ham since age 15. He's been very active on VHF, where he operates a lot of 6 meters and a lot formerly with contacts in outer space. On the Mir space station and the space shuttle, and now with the International Space Station. He operates several satellites and also supports the Loma Pioneer Repeater Club and its repeaters. Scott has been setting up remote stations since the 80s, back before the internet, before Al Gore invented it. And you may remember him also from a cruise he took for his anniversary, where the staff knew nothing about ham radio, and kind of gave him the riot act because he had his HF rig with him on the ship, and had a little unfortunate episode there. But Scott is the founder of Remote Hams, a service that provides remote access via the internet for HF operators. So, Scott, thank you so much for coming on tonight.
Oh, thanks, Neil. Good evening, and thanks for having me.
Yeah, we've been trying to get you guys on here for a while. One of our listeners, Lloyd KC5FM, has been talking a lot about remotehams.com, and one of the nets that he is in, that I'm also a member of, is Christian Amateur Radio Fellowship, and they use it a lot of times to try to cut through some of the propagation issues and everything. So we're glad that you could be on tonight. So tell us all about Remote Hams and how it all got started.
All right. Well, it's goes back a ways. Back in the the mid '80s, I had a guy that I used to talk to all the time on 7250, and his name was Mike Flanagan, KH6 Victor Tango, and we used to get up on 7250 and BS a lot, and evening time band and great propagation in Hawaii. And I found out that he was running a remote, and that consisted of a Nikon 701, and he had a 3-element wire Yagi up at 100 foot. Here's a kicker. It was at the old WWVH site in Kihei on Maui, and he remoted on using his old Tempo S2 radios, UHF audio link, and a simple controller with a VIC-20 computer. And that was pretty high tech back then. Of course, this is way before the internet. Anyhow, I'd always been interested in running remotes, and I had recently moved, and I couldn't really operate. I could receive, I just couldn't transmit. So I used good old Mom's garage and set up an HF station there with an old TS520S and couple UHF handhelds and then a remote receiver. I was about maybe 3 miles away, line of sight, and did it that way. It's kind of crude, but it was also great because I had diversity receive, and I could also have full duplex because my transmitted signal wasn't necessarily stronger than everybody else I was talking to. So I wasn't that strong on the remote receiver, but everybody else was. So it was easy to full duplex, but at any rate, that was just all fun, messing around, you know, when I could get on the air. And so at any rate, I ended up taking a cruise, which you mentioned earlier, and that wasn't too fun. You can do a Google search on WA6LIE suspected terrorists, and you can get a little bit more. It was in QST, by the way. So, yeah, it wasn't a fun experience, and that just made me say, you know what, I need to take this more serious. And so I got together with Brandon, KG6YPI. He's computer guru, self-taught. He's a genius, a great friend. And I said, look, here's my idea. This is what I want to do. And so he started writing the software. We started out with HRD and Skype and TeamViewer. That all worked okay, but it wasn't real enough. So at any rate, Brandon started writing software. We were web-based HTML for a while, and then he eventually wrote the client and the server software. And he did all that. I mean, that's all Brandon. He's a smart kid, and it was many, many years of us getting together and talking about what we wanted to do and all that. So at any rate, I chose Brandon because he was great in security. He liked, for fun hacking the websites. So I figured, great guy because I want security, because we're talking about ham radios and licenses and all that. So he built us a great secure site, and we love it. A lot of people like using it. It's primarily there for, just using, but I kind of designed it in mind for, well, one of these days, I'm going to get old and I might be in a retirement home. But I was thinking about the new hams, the guys that just don't have money, they're getting into the hobby and they just want to listen on a receiver or see what things are like or whatnot. And, old hams alike and those in the CCNRs, if you're vacationing, like to Mexico, another good time to do it. And a lot of
On
people
a
like
cruise ship.
testing. Yeah, exactly. A lot of people like, how many times have you heard, hey, what's my audio sound like? And, there might be 5 guys on frequency, and you'll get 5 different answers. And so I just say, hey, you can listen on my remote receiver. You can record it, whatever, but, at least hear what it sounds like. So anyway, it's a free service. It's always going to be free. It's open to everybody. We encourage clubs. N6IJ is a club that I'm a member of, and we have a nice HF station at 599 DX Drive in Marina. Great address. Thanks to Pat, A6EG. But we have that remoted. So, members out of the area can still get on the air. If they're going on vacation, they can at least use a good antenna or whatnot. So anyway, it's out there for everybody to use, and just glad it's there, and glad that Brandon's getting a little bit more recognition for all the work he does out there, Neil.
All right, very good. Well, this sounds like a great way for hams that can't put up antennas, to get on the air, like you said, the neighborhood covenants, or they're in a nursing home or rehab facility, and they're not able to get the antennas up. And then we've got this horrible sunspot cycle going on right now where propagation's bad, and so you might be able to get somewhere that normally you could get to, but right now you can't, or just check and make sure you're getting out. I mean, that's like you said, well, how do you hear me? Well, you can check yourself and see if you're being heard and if your antenna's working right. So sounds like a great thing. So for somebody who hasn't done remotes before, how do they get signed up with remote hams, and how do they get started using the client?
Oh, it's pretty simple. All you have to do is go to www.remotehams, that's with an S.com, and create a new account. And doing so, use your call sign as your username, and choose your password. And basically, it's we have 1, 2, 3 steps. We try to make it easy. We have installers and all that. So basically, what you'll do is you'll download the client, and you'll log in, and you'll use that client software to connect to the different radios. So it's actually pretty easy to use, to set up. If you're doing a server, if you're hosting a radio, that's a little bit more difficult, but it's not too bad. I'd mention also that this is Windows only. We are looking for a developer for the Apple iOS system. So if you're an Apple guy, you got some time. We're, like I said, not for profit. we could really definitely use a developer. I got an iPad, I got an iPhone, but no remote ham. So anyway, if you have a Windows or Android device, you're good. We also have a software for the Androids. So if you go to the Google store and look up RCF, and by the way, RCF or stands for Remote Controlled Framework, and Orb is online remote based. So at any rate, to try to keep it simple, if you just go ahead and do the 1, 2, 3 on the website and start using radios, and you should upload your license if you want to transmit. But for listening purposes, like if you're running a net, for example, and conditions are lousy, and somebody that has a receiver, a remote receiver or transceiver in another part of the country that you're having a hard time hearing, then it's a good opportunity to use a remote, Neil.
Yeah, it sure is, and I know it's come in handy a couple of times. And I remember the last time I used one was I was doing that 13 colonies thing. And we got all of the 13 colonies over here, and then one of the bonus stations was over in Great Britain, and it seemed like no one could get them. And I was just like, are they even on the air? I keep seeing them spotted, but are they even on the air? And I pulled up a remote over in England, and I was able to hear them over there. Couldn't hear them anywhere else, but was able to actually tell, okay, they really are on the air. So that's a great thing to have around, and glad you're able to offer this to hams out there. So tell us a little bit about the setup of the infrastructure to make all this go, and some of the stations that are available for people to use on remotehams.com.
All righty. Well, first of all, we have our main server. It's in Fremont, in a nice big building, and we have a backup server in the United Kingdom. And so we basically have that server-client relationship working right now. So, if you're hosting a radio, you're going to be set up as a server. And, of course, if you're just a user, you have the client side. So we have the user-client operation. We used to have the web base using HTML, but because of security issues and other things, it just wasn't a very good idea. So we're keep it this way, and it seems to work well. And like I mentioned earlier, it can be used on the Android device. And also, I want to also recommend the Orb device. If you go onto remotehams.com and look under products, the Orb device is a nice interface box. In fact, I'm using it right now. And what it does is it interfaces to your computer, where you can actually hook up, your favorite key to this box, your CW key, and or a Kenwood or Elecraft a microphone to the 8-pin connector, and or if you have another computer mic or studio mic, you can plug that in. It also has its built-in sound card, and it works great for also using the digital modes, and it gives you a more of a radio feel. And if you have the KX3 or a KX0 Mini or a K3, you can also use those in a terminal mode to control another K3. So it's pretty cool. In other words, I could use my K3 to emulate the K3 at N6IJ, because we also have a K3 there. So basically, I spin the dial, and I push the buttons, and it's emulated on the other radio. The only thing that will not do is microphone and audio. Those are set. So every other button's active. I could go into the config menu and all that sort of stuff. But you have to be an admin. So again, security. Thank you, Brandon. He's really, really good about that. All about security. So basically, it's a pretty easy system to use. It's a lot of fun. It's a remote-based community. You have a lot of stations out there that have a lot of members that just it's almost like a hangout, or like a coffee room, or a chat room, like on Skype here, for example. And a bunch of guys just kind of hang out there, and they might be working a net, or in some cases, taking turns at working DX. So some radios are more popular than others. And of course, every radio is unique. So in other words, I host a radio and, I have my certain rules because I might have certain antennas or I just might be limited. So, every radio owner has their own set of rules. So everyone is different. Every radio is different and everybody makes their own rules. And, there's just your basic courtesy rules. We like you to ask before you, go ahead and take control of somebody's radio and decide to, tune it off somewhere, just the common courtesy type of thing. But other than that, like I said, it's a free-for-all. We encourage clubs to use remote hams to host the radio. We're working on a Santa Cruz club. They kind of got it going, but they're still kind of working on it. But nonetheless, there are a lot of other clubs, and the members really enjoy it because a lot of them, again, they might live far away from the club, or they aren't as portable as they used to be, or they might be in a retirement community. And we're seeing a lot more of that. And I'm getting closer there myself, but, I know I'm going to be there one day. And so, that way, I'm already setting myself up. So, if I can't use radio anymore, then at least I got the remote stuff. And even if I can't use my K3, hopefully I still have it. If I can't hook it up to an antenna, at least I can, use the remote K3s in the same fashion. So, I use the same microphone and everything about it. So it's just emulating your radio to the remote radio, and it's pretty cool stuff and a lot of fun.
All right. Well, tell us a little bit about the stations that are available on the system.
Well, again, like I said, we have a lot of shortwave listening stations, just receiving stations. We got the club stations, where you have to be a club member of. But again, we just have a variety of other stations that just want to, donate their time and their radio so others can enjoy it. Those that can't get on the air, like the new hams, for example, that are interested in HF and, they just got their general and they don't really want to get a radio yet. They just want to kind of check it out and see what it's like. So, like I said, there are all kinds of stations out there all around the world. We got many in the United States. We got them in Australia. I'm still trying to get one set up in Hawaii. I keep hitting my buddy up Lloyd, K6LC. He's got a great DX location on the Big Island, but he hasn't given in yet. He's got some property. I said, yeah, Lloyd, maybe we can stick a vertical op over here or something. Or, I'd really like to take a wire and run it between all the towers and, feed it with 400 ladder line over in that shack over there in the corner. You won't even know it's there. So I'm working on it, but the more the merrier. So
that may be a good excuse to sneak over there and, for a few days and do that. It might be a good excuse to go to Hawaii.
Well, Neil, I was over there this past April, house sitting for 2 weeks. So it was a lot of fun. Those four squares really work great too, by the way. He's got one heck of a QTH. It's a contest station, so it's well maintained and a lot of fun.
Well, sounds like it. And so how many do you have a count on what's on, like, at the moment?
Oh, let's see. Right now we have 190 radios online. Out of those, 114 of them are actually club stations. And out of that total number, 135 of them are PX capable. In other words, if you have a valid ham radio license that you've uploaded and you've been approved by the radio owner, in other words, he's validated that, okay, you got a good license, or accept approved license for those foreign amateurs, primarily in Europe, then, he'll allow you to use the station. But like I said, there are 135 of them out there right now that you can transmit on all around the world.
All right. Well, there you go. That's remotehams.com, and some good opportunities there if you need a station to operate, that's one way to get the job done. So what we're going to do now is take a break, and we'll come back and we'll take your questions. Again, that phone number is 812-NET-HAM1. You can give us a call or give us a tweet, or give us a call on Skype, and we'll have you a chance to talk more with Scott right after this word from the other Scott, Tower Electronics, right here on Ham Talk Live. This episode of Ham Talk Live is brought to you in part by Tower Electronics. Tower Electronics has been the Ham's Dime store since 1978. When you need connectors, mobile and handheld antennas, cables, or adapters, visit Scott or Jill at a Hamfest near you. Or you can order online at pl-259.com or call 920-435-2973. Stock up on those supplies like PL259 and N connectors, SMA adapters, audio cables, soldering supplies, mobile antennas, and ham sticks. Their silver-plated N connectors are even used on the International Space Station. Tower Electronics carries MFJ, Comet, Daiwa, OPEC, Workman, and Ham Pro products. And don't miss their 0% off sale going on now. Tower Electronics, online at pl-259.com, proud to sponsor this episode of Ham Talk Live.
If Denny's is open 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, why are there locks on the doors? Now, here's Neil Rapp with more Ham Talk Live. Join the conversation. Call us on voice with Skype at Ham Talk Live, or give us a call at 812-NET-HAM1. That's 812-638-4261. Now, here's more Ham Talk Live.
Thanks to Scott and Jill over at Tower Electronics for sponsoring the show tonight to help bring you Ham Talk Live. This weekend, they're just up the road from me, actually. They're in Fort Wayne, Indiana this weekend, November 18th and 19th. And December 1st and 2nd, they'll be in Ocala, Florida. December 8th and 9th, Plant City, Florida. Or you can give them a call at 920-435-2973 or visit their website, pl-259.com. Tell them you heard it on Ham Talk Live. It's time for your calls now, so if you have a question for Scott, now is the time to call. It's 812-NET-HAM1, 812-638-4261. Or you can Skype your question at Ham Talk Live or tweet us at Ham Talk Live. And I know Scott mentioned he wanted to keep this informational tonight regarding the service and not get into all the server configuration networking stuff. So we'll try to kind of steer away from those tonight. There are some resources available we'll talk about. So we'll try to keep it away from the configuration issues tonight. And I know we just had somebody try to call, and I was in the middle of reading all that and didn't get it. So hopefully we'll get him back. Oh, yep, actually. We got to get Scott Bicknell is trying to call, and if you would try it again, because we got to get the contact request in to get the group call. So give us a call right back here, and we'll get you in here. But yeah, why don't you go ahead, Scott, and talk a little bit about the where you do get help if you need help with the configuration and networking and all that.
Alrighty, well, it's quite simple. Just go to remotehams.com and click on the forums, and you will see all kinds of different threads that are going on, and one of them might fit your problem. We do have setup instructions and whatnot in the forum. So if you have any questions on the configurations, just you can go into the forums, and 99% of the time you'll have an answer already there. But if not, then you can always start a new thread or reply to one, and hopefully you get one of the remote gurus out there to answer the question for you.
All right, very good. And yes, we do have Scott Bicknell in here. So why don't you go ahead and ask Scott your question.
Hey, good evening, Scott from Michigan. I just wanted to great word in for remote ham.
Yeah, Scott, we're losing you a little bit there, but I think you was saying just wanted to put in a good word for remote hams.
Yep, we've had a remote ham station in northern Michigan. Love sharing our station. The call is W1BIC, and up in the northern part of Michigan, a lot of people use it. I love sharing my station for remote hams.
Well, that's great. Thanks a lot, Scott. I really appreciate it, and I'm glad that you guys are able to use it to your advantage and find out that it works great. And thank you so much. Appreciate that.
And let me just tell you that Roger here in South Pine, Michigan, W8RJ, a great resource for you guys. This keeps us running.
Yeah, Roger W8RJ. He's one of the developers with Brandon, and he does a good job. And he's usually all over the forums. Him and Brandon seem to answer the majority of the questions. But yeah, we got a lot of good team members out there, and that's what it's all about. Like I said, it's an online, remote-based community, and we all kind of work together. And we got a problem, we'll solve it. So that's great. Thanks again, Scott. I appreciate it.
Thanks for calling, Scott. Appreciate it.
All right. Take care. Have a great night.
All right. You too. All right. Thanks for giving us a call. It's 812-638-4261. If you'd like to give us a call, 812-638-4261, or you can Skype us or tweet us over here. We're at Ham Talk Live is where you'll find us. And we do have time for a few more questions, and we'll talk about that. And if you do have a station like these guys that you want to put on remote hams, how do you go about getting that accomplished?
Well, you got to do a little bit of a research. And, well, first of all, you got to download the software. And you have to be somewhat literate in being able to set things up. In other words, you got to set up your audio, and you got to be able to adjust your audio. You need to also make sure that your radio is talking to your computer, and then you have the router issues, port forwarding. We're starting to work around port forwarding. In fact, we do have a function in the Orb server software where it looks for UPnP type of routers, which will kind of automatically open ports for you, so you don't have to go in there and do that. But that can be a little bit of a problem. But
I have a name for PNP. It's supposed to be plug and play, but I always called it plug and pray.
Oh, exactly. Plug and pray. So, like I said, the forums are out there too. When you have that little roadblock, and there will be a roadblock, I'm sure, because of routers. But yeah, once you get all up and going, then you kind of figure out what kind of rules you want to make for your radio, and kind of go from there, because you just might be limited to maybe 40 and 80 meters. So yeah, might have to get in there and configure your radio so nobody can transmit on any other band except for 40 and 80 meters, which is nice about the software. We have so many options. It's not even funny. And again, security is great, but most every button that you have on the radio, you can do remotely. And again, if you're an Elecraft fan, you got Elecraft equipment, you're good. You're golden. Brandon is an employee of Elecraft, and he's the engineer in charge of doing all the remote stuff for Elecraft. So I guess you could say the software is kind of tailored for Elecraft stuff. So if you have an Elecraft radio, you can call Brandon and get great Elecraft remote support by the creator of the software, which is pretty cool.
All right. Well, sounds like you're good to go on that, and we've got others as well, but that's kind of the way it's gone. So if you're an Elecraft fan, that's another thing you can do. So again, if you have a question, tweet us at hamtalklive or Skype at hamtalklive, or you can do it the old-fashioned way. It's 812-638-4261. Just dial the phone number, and we can get you in here. We have a few minutes left with Scott, so if you have some questions about getting into remote hams, either putting your station on or operating stations through that, why, give us a call. It's 812-638-4261. Now, you've done a lot of VHF and UHF stuff, especially, I know, satellites and space and that kind of thing. So have you done any remote stuff with that?
Not really. I did back in the 80s. I had put up a packet digipeater on the international or the Mir space station frequency. And it was at a nice elevation and had like 30 watts and the perfect antenna for working satellites. And it was out in the clear. So I did a little packet thing through that. But other than that, I haven't done any remote stuff working satellites. In fact, I haven't worked too many satellites here recently. I've primarily been down the lower HF bands and then get on VHF and UHF, but up there I'm usually on sideband or the digital modes, and I really like FT8. That's a great mode, by the way. So getting very popular for those that are, again, in a limited situation where maybe they can only run a magnetic loop and 20 watts in their apartment, but they got the radio there and they can use it. So the digital modes are really starting to shine on those CC&R guys that can run an inside antenna, just can't get out much of a signal.
Yeah, and FT8's just taken off like a rocket, and so we're going to have to do a show or two on some of those newer digital modes like FT8. And we had Don on N1DG a couple of weeks ago said that they're actually working on a de-expedition version of FT8, so they're hoping to take it on Baker Island and do some of that. So all kinds of stuff going on in the digital world right now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, like I said, back when I started remote hams, we didn't have a computer and just used VHF, UHF, and, whatever we had available. I mean, the products that they have out today, is just mind-boggling. I mean, I remember, building TR relays and building my antennas and using Coke bottles for vertical base supports and, I don't know, the old school MacGyver stuff. Now you can go out and buy all this stuff and it's all pre-made, pre-tuned, and put it together and you're on the air, which is great if you can do that. But, if you can't, then again, the remote's a great option, especially if you're traveling. And, there's one guy I heard on the air the other day, and he was saying, he's taking a little vacation, whatnot, and his wife says, "No radio. You aren't taking a radio with you." But if you have your Android phone, for example, maybe you could, get on the air occasionally, go to the men's room for a while and get on the air.
Sneak in a contact or two.
Yeah, exactly. In fact, one of our Lone Pioneer Repeater Club, our president, runs the net a lot, and he travels a lot. He's an insurance guy, and so he spends a little bit of time on the road going to different areas that have been hit by disasters and whatnot. So one night he had to run the net, and he was sitting in the local cafe, in the airport, had his Android phone, and he ran our whole net, which generally lasts about 45 minutes. So it'd be like doing your broadcast now remotely, and he did a bang-up job, and it sounded great. I was really surprised.
Yeah, there's no end to the possibilities, and I can actually now this broadcast I can do with an iPhone app. So it's it's just amazing how all this technology has come along, and the remotes are just so much more commonplace now than they used to be. I remember, wanting so much to set up a remote base on the repeater so that we could, control it that way. And now it's like, there's remotehams.com. So, we don't have to go through all that process.
Well, yeah. And, it's an all-in-one situation solution, whereas you don't need TeamViewer, you don't need Skype, it's all in one software suite. Your audio and control and everything else is right there. So it makes it a lot easier being on the go, and there are a lot of radios to choose from out there. So, it'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you doing that. I'm sorry for the reason that you were drove to doing this.
Yeah, really.
And the cruise line not being too cooperative, but glad that you've done it, and it's very useful, and hopefully people will know about that technology more and get some use out of it. So, Scott, thanks for coming on and filling us in on remotehams.com.
Right. Well, thanks for having me. And, it's out there to use. Again, it's free. Build it and they will come. I said to Brandon, I said, it'll get popular, and, it just slowly during time, gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So, it's great. And thanks to everybody out there that donates their time in radios. We really appreciate it. A lot of other guys appreciate it. And I guess I'd make one last comment that this is just a fantastic hobby. I've been a ham since 15. Just been a great hobby. A lot of great guys out there. Technology is a great way of learning and a lot of fun. So thanks for having me, Neil. And you and everybody have a great evening, and hope to see you on Remote Hams.
All right. And also, too, Scott, before you go, if you want to support Remote Hams, how do you do that?
Well, there's a donate button on the homepage, remotehams.com. So if you go up there, you can click on the donate button and pay via PayPal or credit card or whatever. But we accept donations, and we run off of donations.
All right. Very good. Wanted to get that in there. So thank you so much for coming on. We appreciate it and appreciate your service. And we look forward to hearing more people from remotehams.com.
Well, thank you very much, Neil. You have a great evening. Happy holidays to you, and thanks for having me on, and hope to talk to you on the air soon.
Very good. Yes, absolutely. Well, that's a wrap for this week's edition of Ham Talk Live. Thanks to my guest, Scott Avery, WA6LIE, and everyone out there in cyberspace for listening and calling in. Next week is Thanksgiving, so we're going to take the week off and give thanks next week. And I've got to watch the annual traditional WKRP in Cincinnati turkey giveaway episode between now and then. That's one of my favorites, and always watch that during Thanksgiving. So we may post that on our social media sites next week. But the following Thursday, we'll be back at 9 o'clock Eastern Time, and Ralph Fedor, K0IR, will be here to talk about the Bouvet Island de-expedition. He's going to give us an update since last time we talked to him about the de-expedition, so be sure to tune in for that. So for a list of all of our upcoming guests, you can get that at hamtalklive.com. Just click on the schedule link. So for now, this is Neil Rapp, WB9VPG, saying 7375, and as Les Nessman says, DX.
As God is my witness, I thought turkeys could fly.